What about the restaurants on these platforms that are at 4.2 stars instead of 4.8 stars? And what are they going to do to get from 4.2 to 4.8? They're not going to know from this. Welcome to another episode of So You Want My Feedback, part of the Feedback Matters podcast and YouTube channel. Here again with my colleague, Rich. Hello, Rich. How are you today?
Good, Jeff. How you doing?
I'm doing well.
Happy
So
belated
we are
birthday.
going... What's that?
Happy belated birthday.
Spoiler alert, we're going to be reviewing the feedback asked from a restaurant that I went to with my family on my birthday a couple of weeks ago. And as always, we're not going to name the restaurant. We're not going to name the platform that the survey may have come from, because that's, I think, what happened. And we haven't looked at this ahead of time. So we are going to dive into my computer and we are going to, on the air, live. It's going to be live when it's recorded, not live when people are watching or listening to it. And I will read everything so that people who just want to listen to the audio version of this podcast rather than watching our beautiful faces on the video version of it can follow along. So first things first, I've got to share my screen. All right. Okay. So this is an email I received a few days after we dined at a restaurant in the Big Apple, New York City, with my family. They took me out for dinner at a very lovely restaurant. We had a lovely experience. So spoilers alert. Again, we're going to fill out the survey because that's what we do in this series. And the spoiler alert, which I often do, is that they're going to get high marks on everything if they ask me a bunch of questions, because lovely time. Anyway, so this is the email that I received because I did make the reservation, and it was done on a restaurant reservation platform that a lot of restaurants use to manage their bookings and get more bookings. We're not going to mention the name of the platform, and we're not going to mention the name of the restaurant because, as always, that's not what this is about. This is about the methodology and the good practices or the best practices that hotels and restaurants use to get feedback from their guests. And then sometimes they're not such best practices that they use, and we comment on that. So anyway, let's dive into it. So here was the email I got, and it said, how was, name of the restaurant, good subject line. Then the from address is the name of the restaurant, reservations, / the name of the platform, the reservations platform that handled the reservation. And this is something that has come up the last couple of times that we've done this. The from email address is no reply at the platform, the reservations platform. So I can't reply to this message. And when we get through the bottom of the email message, we'll see if there's any way for me to contact them if I have any questions. So any comments before I move on?
No, good subject.
Okay.
Fine.
Okay, so here's the logo of in this spot here, you won't see it, but I'm just pointing out where it is. Here's the logo of the reservations platform. There's no logo for the restaurant. I don't even know if they have a logo, but down here it just says how was, and then the name of the restaurant, which is a repeat of the subject line. Then it says, we would appreciate your feedback about your experience at, and then there's a picture. I guess a logo could go there, but it's just like
That's not a logo for the restaurant?
No, it looks like it's a profile picture almost from an Instagram account. It just looks like a table, an outdoor table. In the background, I actually can make out the name of the restaurant or partial name of the restaurant on an awning. It looks like it was taken in front of the restaurant during warm weather at some point. Anyway.
Question. It won't be on the live broadcast or the broadcast that people see, but the name of the platform is there on top.
Yes.
Is that a live link?
Yes.
Yeah.
Good point.
I mean, I don't like it, but it's understandable.
All right, I just clicked it and it opened in a new window. just to make a reservation at any restaurant. Not they're just offering me restaurants, I guess, in my area. Yes. It's tied to geographically to where I am physically located now. So it's offering me to make a reservation.
I mean, if you're going to do that, then that's a smart thing to do to offer you restaurants that you may actually go to. But that said, you're taking somebody off the survey page. They're going to get involved in making a reservation or looking at the restaurants or playing around in that page. And will they come back? Will they not?
So, okay, to that point, the next line says, we would appreciate your feedback about your experience at, I actually read this already, name of the restaurant. Is that the sole goal?
Well,
or
that's my point. Similar to the last one,
yes,
that we did, you're showing your cards. You're showing that the priority is to sell more reservations and then to get feedback.
Okay. The difference, and I don't know what order these episodes will be aired in. The difference between this one and that one, you're right, was that in the last one, the survey was sent by a survey platform and the links were to the retailer that the survey was about. Right. In this one, again, the survey is being sent by a platform, the reservations platform, on behalf of the restaurant. And the link is actually to the platform. So the platform is promoting the platform here, as opposed to in the last one, the platform was promoting the retail. So it's a little different, but it's the same idea. It's the same problem, right? It's to use your words, they're showing their cards that the survey is not necessarily the important thing here, right?
Right. Yep.
Okay. So, and then they just remind me what happened. Dining room table for 4, and then it says the date and the time, has my name, has the reservation number. And now down below, let me just scroll all the way down and let's stop there. So it says, write your review, and then there are 5 empty outlined stars. And under the 1 star is the label poor, and under the 5 star, the 5th star to the right is the label outstanding. And then below it says, write your review with the stars. Then below, thank you, and we look forward to seeing you again at... Name of the platform, not the restaurant. Interesting.
Makes no sense. Sorry.
Okay.
And you know what? Quite frankly, I was going to say this is petty, but now that it's the second grammatical error, you're not writing your review. Rate the restaurant 5 stars. And then if there's an open box to write text, then you write your review.
Again, this is terrible. This is not writing a review, although I'm guessing, because again, we're doing this on the spot. Once I click this, is it going to click through to a place where I actually can write an actual
review?
You
write your review at that point.
If you'd rather not receive future dining feedback emails from us, please let us know. How would I know? Let us know. There is a link there. So, I gave them a little hard time about it was a no reply email address, but here I can get to them, I guess.
When you hover over the please let us know, what's the email address?
It's just, actually, I just clicked the link. It's just an unsubscribe page from the platform. It's not an email link. And then below that, there's your dining companion, explore the world of dining with our app, enjoy delicious meals, and share your experiences with just...
I'm getting it.
And wait. I mean, this will get blurred out. Restaurants we think you'll enjoy.
You see, it's not a marketing research effort. It's not an effort to collect information to make the restaurant better.
No, it's to do this. It's to get more ratings on their restaurants in the platform.
How many links do you have on that one page that have nothing to do with providing useful and usable feedback for the restaurant?
It's not about that. That's not what this is about. So all right. let's play.
I mean, let's
Ready?
go through it. Let's go
All
through it.
right. We're going to write
Well,
our
you know what,
review.
Jeff? Before you hit the next one, I sort of understand after all these years, we have our methodology and what we think is important to the end user, which is to make his business better. But it seems to me that more and more people are not focusing on that.
Well, we talked about this also in the last episode about a similar experience we had a long time ago. We've been doing this a long time. And what came up that I'm referring to here is that a long time ago, online reviews were not a thing. I mean, they were a thing, but they weren't an important thing. And now they're a very important thing. And so that is the focus of most businesses, frankly, not only restaurants and hotels and retailers, but every business is trying to get reviews because everybody who's looking to buy something or use a service or stay somewhere or dine somewhere that is trying something new. I mean, we know the number is well into the 90s percentage wise. People are looking at reviews before making those decisions. So reviews are so important. The thing that gets lost in all this is that reviews don't provide enough information to systematically operate your business properly and frankly stay ahead of reviews. Like if you're only seeing reviews as feedback from your guests or your customers, you're reacting to things that have happened in the past rather than getting evaluations systematically about every part of your business and able to tweak things as time goes by. So that's the disconnect that we still find, 20 years later. But, these things can get really long and we tend to talk about these things a lot because they keep coming up, obviously.
Yeah.
Let's see what happens when we do click through, right?
Yeah. No, go ahead.
Can, right?
Yeah.
All right, we're going to hit outstanding because it was outstanding. All right, we opened a new page. Let's see. And then I'll share this.
They're not recognizing the fact that by getting usable information to improve their business, they could actually improve their reviews down the road.
Okay. Jeff, how was your experience at name of the restaurant? So interestingly, they did not capture that I clicked the five stars in the email. So we know that functionality exists, but they don't use it, which is
Well, they could have used that and left overall out here.
correct. Exactly. But they didn't. So that's okay. But I will go ahead and say outstanding again. Food was delicious. The service was attentive. The ambiance was cool. Value. I don't know. It was a pricey restaurant, but it was outstanding. So for pricey restaurants, it was outstanding. Noise level. Okay, so they have labels attached to these little four, what looks like a column bar chart. Do not recall is this one. Quiet is this one. Moderate is this one. And energetic.
Okay, I don't like that at all. I'll tell you why. Because the 5 questions above it, the 5 stars all the way to the right are clearly a better grade than anything picked on the left. Whereas the noise level, your preference and my preference can be 2 different things and still have both given 5-star reviews on the other criteria.
Right. And that's a good point. And I think that the problem here is that it's not a scale that would match 1 through 5.
It doesn't belong in that column.
Correct.
And on that page.
It doesn't. This should have been presented in some different way because, to your point, I might like energetic and you might like quiet. So
Right.
this should not be. It should not appear directly below everything else, and it appears to be in a numeric sort of scale, and it's not.
That's not a ranking. Those answers shouldn't be ranked.
Agreed.
Better to worse.
And the bigger problem probably here is that Many people, as we know from conducting surveys for decades, I'll just leave it at decades, we know people rush through them. I mean, going back to my days from 30 years ago, we always looked at survey data, and there was a clean data cleaning process where you would eliminate straight line answers, meaning if you saw in a long survey that if it was a 1 through 5 scale like this, if every answer was a 5, you would just eliminate it because people rush through them just to get through the survey. So in this case, some of them say outstanding, 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 and then just click that without even looking, right? So this would become a problem.
Yeah, it doesn't belong there.
Correct. So for me, I do recall, it certainly wasn't energetic, moderate, quiet. It was relatively quiet. It's a tough one.
I just don't like the format of the answer choices.
For sure. The format is not good. All right, next. Write a review. Okay, at least here we're asking, we know what we're up against here. Write a review. Help diners decide where to eat. Remember to keep it short, simple, and specific. Your experience will be publicly posted on the name of the platform to help others decide where to eat and what to order. So I'm not going to do that here because...
But they don't share with you if there's any information about yourself that's going to appear with your comment.
Good point.
Even if it's not identifiable specifically, but they may say, Jeff from Long Island says this, and maybe you don't want that.
Right. Well, we could actually pause the video and I can go see what other reviews, people are signed. And I will do that in a second. But before we do that, below here, it says, do you want to send a private note to the restaurant? Yes or no? And then what is a private note? Let's click this to see what it is. Okay. Send a private note. Many name of the platform restaurants welcome the opportunity to respond directly to diner comments. By providing your contact information, you will allow the restaurant to follow up directly with you when appropriate. The confidential note to the restaurant is a great way to recognize to the restaurant manager a specific server or staff member who provide suggestions to the staff or chef, or tell the restaurant anything unique to your experience that might not be relevant to others visiting the restaurant. And then they give a sample note. Our server, Mandy, was very helpful and attentive all night. Please send her our thanks. She also made great recommendations for wines and desserts. We appreciate that you bought us a round of drinks when the entrees were delayed. You might want to change a few light bulbs in the parking lot as it was a bit dark when we left. If you provide your email address in the space provided, the restaurant may choose to contact you about your feedback at their option. You know what? I have a comment on this. What's yours? I'll go first.
Yeah.
I think this is great.
Yeah. I look, you know what? I apologize. I was looking for something negative to say, and I couldn't really come up with it.
No, yeah. I mean, because everything we've been doing is sort of negative because we're looking at it from a survey standpoint. And I assume that the restaurant will be they can certainly look at reviews if someone chooses to post it as a review and see all the ratings. The noise, attribute is a difficult one. But again, this is a platform that's handling every aspect of the reservations process. You know what? It's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay.
The wording they had at the very beginning of the introduction, I forget how they worded it. It was at their discretion whether they were going to reply to you or not.
Yes.
And when they were going to reply to you, they made a point of saying that. So I don't know. The cynical part of me says that they're going to inundate you with emails, just another way to get your email, your phone.
Yeah, I mean, so I'm going to go back here for a second. So back to this page again. So, we talked about before, like, if you're just doing reviews, you're not going to get enough detail to really manage your business. So let's talk about this, because this is in the modern era of online reviews being so important, a key piece of information that diners use to choose restaurants. This may be the way that most restaurants choose to get feedback. This may be the only way they choose to get feedback. Some will probably do their own surveys and not run it through the platform, but many will only do it this way. So Is this enough? I would argue it might be.
But there's nothing specific about
No,
the restaurant.
no.
There's not an opinion about your the menu choices. There's not a comment about valet parking or
Well, you can write it in the comments. You can send the private note. It's better than nothing. It's not ideal. But at the end of the day, again, if we're focused on reviews as being a key piece of how to get your message out there and be found by potential new diners and customers, I don't know. I'm a little torn. It's not ideal.
It's not ideal, but if you think that this page that you are showing now is followed up by the comment box, so this can stimulate specific comments that will help, again, always focusing on making the restaurant better as if it was my business.
Right.
I guess it's enough to stimulate specific comments that would help.
Yeah. It's okay.
Yeah.
That's all right. So,
I go back to how we designed ours. You can get better information quickly and easily without adding pages and pages to the survey. We broke it down, and also you have built-in follow-up questions. You have built-in intelligence. If they don't provide you with an answer that warrants branching off to follow up more specifically, then you don't. So I don't know.
So, I mean, I guess this comes down to trade-offs and business decisions. So many restaurants choose to use these types of platforms to manage reservations. For many, or a good chunk of restaurants, they choose to do it because it obviously gets them more bookings. They do more business by doing this. There's a cost in doing that to use these platforms. I believe they pay, there's a fee plus there's a fee for every booking. And so if they're using this, it's sort of a synergistic relationship with the platform to get a lot of reviews so that the reviews look good on their site. So there's two ways you can make a reservation. You can go to the platform, the reservations platform, like they showed me before, right, that when I clicked in the email, and it showed a list of restaurants in my area. A lot of them, and I could have found a lot more if I scrolled down and dug a little bit deeper. Or I can go to the website of a restaurant, and if it says reserve a table, that's tied in specifically to the page within the platform for that restaurant.
Right. So you're making the reservation in the same spot, just how you got
ultimately you are. Right. Now, I don't know whether it costs the restaurant more to have the reservation come through the platform's website as opposed to if somebody discovered the restaurant on their own on the restaurant's website and got the reservation. Now, I don't know if there's different tiers of pricing.
I would imagine there would be. That's a very good point you just brought up, because there's, you're bringing the customer to the platform versus the platform finding the customer for you.
I agree that there probably is. And the reason I say that is because I know that in the early days of these platforms, a lot of restaurants tried to get you to do it outside the platform. They wanted you to call and make the reservation. Right. But I think that has been resolved. The platforms realize that ultimately, they're going to get a lot of business directly through the platforms. That's why they promote the apps and so forth. They advertise the platform. So it becomes a synergistic relationship. They try not to have a competitive relationship.
Right.
So it is in the best interest of the restaurant ultimately to get reviews to the platform's website.
Right.
So if a restaurant is choosing to use a platform, in most cases, they're probably not going to do a more detailed survey just to get more information because they're already paying for this, and it's providing.
That's a fair point.
Providing reviews which drive more business.
Fair. I just always have, and I'm sorry, I always will. I don't want to rely just on reviews. I don't want the businesses to rely just on the verbatim comments, because you don't know how in detail they're reading them. Are they just looking at the stars? Are they actually reading that carefully and gleaning whatever information they could get out of them?
I don't know.
Other options allow them to focus on specific points to improve the property or the restaurant.
Yeah, I mean, then there's another part of it. So a restaurant might want to get more systematic, detailed information, like, are you happy with our menu choices? Are you happy with our bar area decor? Yeah. Trying to learn more about, trying to stay ahead of things.
Right.
But then they have to weigh in on the idea of how many things are we going to send to our guests? The platform reviews are important. And yes, feedback, more detailed feedback from our guests is important. But how many things do we want to send them? We don't want to risk annoying them, which is something we've talked about also. So
Yep.
I don't know, trade-offs, right? So it's a tough one. But yeah, not a lot of detailed information, but some information and the opportunity to send a private note to the restaurant. So it's okay. Yeah, it's tricky. Is it ideal, the feedback they're getting? No. Maybe at some point, if they see a star rating declining, they'll
go back and dig in. Yeah, I get it.
That said, what about the restaurants on these platforms that are at 4.2 stars instead of 4.8 stars? And what are they going to do to get from 4.2 to 4.8? They're not going to know from this. There's no way they can know.
Right. Exactly.
Right. So, tricky. We'll dig into more of these, I guess, and try to answer more of the. I think we have more questions than we have answers here.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's it for this one.
All righty.
So thanks everyone for watching or listening to this episode of Feedback Matters, and we will dive into another guest experience survey soon. Rich, thank you as always.
Thank you.
And we'll see you soon. Take care.
Bye, folks.